You're listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Get the knowledge you need to advance your mortgage practice quickly and efficiently from Jen Du Plessis, America's Mortgage Mastery mentor with over 37 years of experience and over $1 billion in lifetime fundings. Jen has been mentoring loan officers and realtors for over 15 years and speaking on stages across the globe. So settle in and get ready as Jen and her guests share their experience, passion, and strategies to help you crack the top producer code to reach new heights in your business. And now, here's your host, Jen Du Plessis, Mortgage Mastery Mentor and head chick in charge of Kinetic Spark Consulting.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode. I'm your host, Jen Du Plessis, and if you're not watching the video, you can't see that I am like grinning from ear to ear. It's almost hurting at the excitement I have over our next guest, Mr. Hal Elrod. And I'll tell you what, I have been following Hal for I can't tell you how many years. We actually happen to be in the same Ignite Advisory speaking group as well. But I have been following and stalking Hal for a long time behind the scenes and pitching his everything behind the scenes to my clients. And without further ado, I just want to say thank you, Hal, so much for taking time out of your, I know, so busy day to just humble me and join me and be able to share with our listeners your story.
Well, Jen, you're welcome, and ditto. Thank you for taking the time to have me on, and thank you for sharing my work, The Miracle Morning. That means more to me than you know. So this is really, really, I'm grinning just like you.
Okay.
So I really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, we'll both grin. So let me go ahead and read your bio for those people who have not heard about it, just real quick. But, we're going to be talking about a lot of things today, some tactical and some mindset. We're going to do a little both. But after surviving multiple near-death experiences and impacting millions of people through his books, Hal is now on a mission to elevate the consciousness of humanity, one person at a time. So he is the author of the international best-selling book, not like some of us who have a best-selling book for 20 minutes on Amazon, which I have and can officially say I have, but international best-selling, The Miracle Morning, which is translated into 37 languages and sold over 2 million copies. And his newest book, The Miracle Equation, he's doing exactly that as well. And I have to say, Hal, I love that. And I'm going to ask you this question. This is one of the questions I want to ask you is when you started off, I'm just going to get right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I know you speak and you're a runner and you're going to tell us all kinds of fun stuff. And that's how I met you. But when you wrote The Miracle Morning, did you set up the name so that it could be translated into all the other ones that you've done? Because your books are The Miracle Morning for real estate agents, The Miracle Morning for millionaires, The Miracle Morning for mommy. It's like everybody. Yeah. Did you set it up that way? Because had I known that was a way to do it, I probably would have named my book something totally different.
No. So that was actually a friend of mine. It was a very organic idea. I had thought of it when The Miracle Morning started taking off. I had thought of maybe I could do a series or something, but a friend of mine, Ryan Snow, who was a realtor for Keller Williams and a sales trainer, he reached out to me and he said, Hal, have you thought about doing The Miracle Morning for salespeople, for doing a series?
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's crossed my mind, but I'm really focused on the original, getting the original book in the hands of 1 million people at that time. And he said, I think we should do a series. He said, because I've taught The Miracle Morning to all of my agents that I manage, that I've trained. And he said, and every single one of them that's doing The Miracle Morning, their sales have increased, their motivations increased, their health, their happiness. He said, it's been a game changer. He said, and I think we should do a Miracle Morning for salespeople that's specific with affirmations for salespeople and different rituals for salespeople. And I said, I love that idea. You want to co-author it with me? And that's how the series was born. It was very organic. And then after that, I met Honore Corder, who is my kind of partner in the series. And she's managed and helped create all of the books. And the rest is kind of history, as they say. But no, when I first wrote The Miracle Morning, I did not have I couldn't see past,
right. One
just
book,
getting that book out.
and going down that road. And it's funny he says that because, I can't tell you how many times I've purchased the book and brought it to a training session for realtors, or, shared it with my team and said, look, in order for us to be on the same page when you walk through the door, I need you to subscribe to this. And you can do the 6-minute version, or you can do the 1-hour version, but you have to do the version before you walk through the door. So you can stand outside and do it for all I care. Right?
Yeah, I love it.
I think that's just super, super incredible. So I want to kind of go back though. Let's just kind of rewind a little bit and find out, where did this all perpetuate from? And I know that you had one near-death experience that perpetuated that, and then there's another experience as well. So if you don't mind sharing with us, about that experience that led you to believe that, life's short, we need to make some changes. So share with us about that.
Yeah. I used to call these my rock bottoms, where you reach a point in your life, we've all been there, an experience that really tests you and challenges you and scares you and causes you to question, yourself, your faith, whatever it may be. I call these my wake up calls. And, we all can relate. We've had wake up calls throughout our lives. When I was 20 years old, I was driving home after I gave a speech at a Cutco sales meeting. I was a salesperson for Cutco Cutlery.
Oh, gosh.
And driving home that night, my car was hit head on by a drunk driver at over 70 miles per hour. My car spun off the drunk driver, and the car that was behind me crashed into my driver's side door, directly in my door at 70 miles an hour. And if you can imagine a car hitting you in the door at 70 miles an hour, instantaneously, I broke 11 bones on the left side of my body. I broke my leg, my arm, my pelvis, so on and so forth. I began to lose a lot of blood. And an hour later, when they had used the jaws of life to cut me out of the car, I had bled to death. And my heart stopped beating for approximately 6 minutes. I was rushed onto a helicopter to be airlifted to the hospital, where they revived me and brought me back to life. I then spent 6 days in a coma. I flatlined twice more, and I came out of the coma to be told that I would never walk again. And I remember, my first memory was kind of, about a week after being out of the coma, meeting with the doctors, them assessing my progress. And I just decided, you know what, I'm committed to giving it everything I have to walk again until I'm proven otherwise. I will maintain unwavering faith that I can and will walk again, and I will put forth extraordinary effort in order to do so until proven otherwise. And then I made that simultaneous decision that if I never walk again, I'll be at peace with it, because I can't change it at that point. There's no point in feeling sorry for myself. There's no point in being a victim. There's no point in wishing I could walk when I can't walk. So I had this simultaneous mindset where I expect the best case scenario while I simultaneously accept and am at peace with the worst case scenario. And then in 2008, when the US economy crashed, it was my second wake up call. It was the first time I lost kind of everything. I lost my house. I was in debt. I couldn't pay the bills. It was very scary after going from, kind of creating the success to losing it all. And I got really depressed, really scared. And then it was a series of events that led me to this breakthrough that if I want to change my life, I have to change myself first. Yeah. And I decided to create a morning ritual, even though I wasn't a morning person, because I had been Googling, what do the world's most successful people do every day? What are their routines? Yeah. And I kept coming across morning routines and morning rituals, but I'm like, no. Like, I'm not a morning person. Where's the success ritual for those that wake up at, 7 a.m. or whatever? And I finally, after reading enough articles, I was convinced that I've got to create a morning ritual. And I decided I want to create the most effective, extraordinary, proven morning ritual in the history of morning rituals. And that became the Miracle Morning. And it changed my life so quickly. Within 2 months of doing this morning practice, in the middle of 2008, when the economy was crashing, which I've always been, not excited, but I'm optimistic. Like, when the next economic crash comes, which I'd say never more than now, are we kind of like seeing, okay, the ground feels a little unstable, right?
Yes, it definitely does.
I know from experience that, because I'm not the only one, millions of people have done this, where when you take control of your inner world and you take control of yourself, you're able to dictate how you think, how you feel, what you do, and therefore the results that you create in your life. And as the economy continued to crash, I doubled my income in 2 months. And it was simply by reading books, using affirmations, visualizing, and applying all of these practices that I was doing throughout my workday. And then I saw the results. And so kind of the rest is history, as they say. You know, I started writing this book, The Miracle Morning. It took 3 years. I self-published it. Like, I didn't have a following.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah. Nobody knew who I was, you know?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I had no idea that it was going to be as big, you know, as big of a deal as it has been, but I was committed. I made a mission that I will change 1 million lives one morning at a time. And I will do everything in my power to reach 1 million people with this book. And it took 6 years. I tried to do it in 1 year. It took 6 years finally to reach that million person mark, you know, and then now as it's expanded, the new mission, which is this movie coming out, is to elevate the consciousness of humanity one morning and one person at a time. And that's where this whole Miracle Morning, not just the book, but it's become this movement into this global community. And it's not just me anymore. It's millions of people that are really passionate about waking up and elevating their own consciousness, fulfilling their own potential, and then going out and being that impact, that ripple effect to the life of every person that they touch.
Yeah. And I definitely, you know, we talked about this in the green room. We can talk about it now, but you know, I share this story. I mean, so you have millions of people sharing your book. It's not just you to millions of people, but I mean, that's how it manifests itself into what's become this, you know, and truly it's a following. You know, it's a following. It's not just, oh, I sold a bunch of books. It is truly a following, and to a certain extent, somewhat of a cult in a good way.
I got that the other day. We actually got a guy that emailed and he was upset saying this is a cult. And he kind of went off about it. And I go, I guess I need to look up the definition of a cult. But
yeah. We'll find a different way. But I mean, it truly is a following, and it's something that people are following. So I want to kind of backtrack just a little bit, and I want to ask you about death, because I've experienced this as well. And, you know, and I woke up very afraid that I didn't see a light. I didn't see anything. And I'm very spiritual. So tell us about, you know, really, really that experience. Did you ever, you know, on the backside of that, did you have any experiences that kept you from living your true life? You know, that you had these risks and this reservation? Because I imagine there was a period of time that, and maybe not for you, but that you went through, you know, saying, I'm not going to get in a car. I'm afraid of this. Maybe I should be more conservative. Maybe I should reassess, before you actually, the light bulb came on and said, wait a minute, hold on. I need to change things. So walk us through, you know, the pain that happened there too. Did you have, you know, those thoughts, those things? Because I personally did. That's why I'm asking to kind of lighten myself, because you know, I just second guessed everything I did. You know, that wouldn't have happened if I didn't this. And I really blame myself. And I didn't give myself the grace to forgive myself for so long. And then once I did, that became a message for everybody I talked to.
Yeah, for me, it was relatively quick. What happened was in the hospital, you know, so I came out of the coma and I'm told I'm not going to walk again. And I had to process that. And it was more, I didn't feel pain as much as I felt just kind of disbelief. Like, how is this? Like, I can't even wrap my head around, because I came out of the coma and all of a sudden, you know, I didn't even know where I was or how I got in the hospital. And I had brain damage. So I didn't remember. I would literally, my parents, my family, my friends would tell me what happened to me. And then I would fall asleep and wake up hours later and I would have forgotten what happened to me. And so it took days for me to actually process and even get this to understand what was going on. And then ultimately I ended up, the doctors called my parents in 1 week after I came out of the coma. So this is 2 weeks after the crash, 1 week after I came out of the coma. I'm just starting to like get my bearings and such. And the doctors called my parents in and they said, we're concerned with Hal's mental and emotional well-being. Oh, wow. They said, and at that time, you know, physically it was already, you know, everyone was saying I'm not going to walk again. But my parents at that point were just kind of like, they just wanted me alive, you know, I mean, after they almost lost me. And the doctors said, every time we interact with Hal, he's always smiling and laughing and telling jokes to make us laugh. And they said, frankly, that's not normal. They said, you know, that's not normal for a 20-year-old young man who's being told he's never going to walk again, just to be happy and smiling and laughing. And so they asked my parents if they would come and talk to me to get to the bottom of how I was really feeling, because the doctor said I was deep down, I was probably scared. I might have been sad or depressed. possibly angry that this happened. And they wanted to get me to admit those feelings so that like the therapists and the counselor, psychologist, that they could work with me through this. So my dad came in that day, and I looked at him, and I was watching television. I'm sitting in the hot. You just picture, this is 2 weeks after I was found dead, after I broke these bones. My leg is, in a sling. My arm's in a sling. My eye is all sewn up and with a bandage over it. My ear had been almost completely severed. It was sewn on. And my dad, I look at him. He says, "Can I talk to you for a second?" And I look over, and his face is red, and his eyes are welled up. And I turned off the television. I said, "Dad, what's wrong?" And he said, "Well, Hal, physically, the doctor said you're stable." Because I had flatlined twice more in that first week, 3 times total. And he said, "But they're concerned with your mental and emotional well-being." I said, "Okay, what do you mean?" And he explained their concerns. And he said, "Hal, how are you really feeling? It's okay to be sad and scared and depressed and angry. Those are normal emotions, but you have to admit it. You can't pretend like everything's okay." And I really went inside to consider what my dad was asking me and the doctors, their assessment. And it only took me about 30 seconds, Jen. And I looked at my dad and I smiled and I said, "Dad, I thought you knew me better than that." He said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Remember, I live my life by the 5-minute rule that I learned in my Cutco sales training, believe it or not, which said it's okay to be negative when things go wrong,
right?
But not for more than 5 minutes.
Right.
There's no value in dwelling on something that is now in the past that you can't go back in time and change. The only intelligent choice we have is to accept our life exactly as it is, be at peace with it, focus on where we want to go and what's in our control now to move in that direction." And I said, "Dad, it's been," by the way, we were literally taught in Cutco to set our timer for 5 minutes when something would happen. And by the way, this was a much milder adversity. These were no sales or canceled orders or deals that fell through. But we were taught to set our timer for 5 minutes and give ourselves 5 minutes to really feel the emotions, bitch, moan, complain, cry, punch a pillow, feel it. Right. But then after 5 minutes, you take a deep breath, you turn the timer off, and we were taught to say these 3 words: "Can't change it."
Yeah.
And it's an acknowledgement. I can't change it. I can't go back in time and change it. Yes, it was horrible. Yes, it wasn't fair. Yes, it was blah, blah, blah. But so many of us are suffering over things that happened not just 5 minutes ago, but 5 hours, 5 days, 5 decades ago.
Yeah.
The memory of something that was unpleasant causes us pain. And here's the big aha. We tend to think that we feel emotional pain based on the thing that we're thinking about. Well, of course I'm upset. Look at what she said, or what he did, or what I lost, or what didn't go my way.
Right, right.
But the reality is all of our emotional pain is self-created by our resistance to our reality. It's our wishing and wanting that something were different that we can't go back in time and change. So I said, "Dad, I can't change that I was in a car accident. I can't change that I broke 11 bones, and I may never walk again. I don't know." I said, "But there are only 2 possibilities the way that I see this. Number 1, the doctors are right and I'll never walk again. And I've already imagined if that is my future, I have already decided I will be the happiest and most grateful person you've ever seen in a wheelchair, because I'm in a wheelchair either way. And I will not let my circumstances define or determine my emotional well-being."
Right.
I said, so that's possibility number 1 is I never walk again. And if that's the case, I'm happy, I'm grateful, and I'm in a wheelchair. But the second possibility is I might walk again. I really don't know. But because that's what I want, I'm focusing all of my energy, my attention, my emotion, visualizing what I want, praying about what I want. I imagine walking again every single day, knowing that if I don't walk again, I'll be at peace with it. And for everybody listening, realize that's one of the greatest lessons that we can learn to be truly at peace with our life, happy and moving forward, is to accept all things you can't change unconditionally, to give yourself that gift of inner peace and focus all of your energy on maintaining unwavering faith in every possibility that you want for your life and doing everything in your power to move in that direction. And you do both of those simultaneously. Accept the worst case scenario, expect the best case scenario, and move toward that. And don't dwell on what you cannot change.
Yeah, no, it's really powerful. I just had a retreat this weekend with my team, and we talked about this resistance to forgive. And, that we're just constantly saying, that was unfair, that was unjust, that shouldn't have happened to me. And I think the reason why it's very powerful for me right now is this year, after having gone through Savers, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but going through the Miracle Morning every day for years and years and years, and, really working on me, is that this year during COVID, there was enough silence in my chaotic life of traveling and speaking. And, and I think this is what a lot of people are going to go through now, is because there's enough silence around us that I finally had that breakthrough. And for me, it was, I was a 9-year-old child, and my father was an alcoholic, and there's a whole bunch of other things that are there. And, I was just constantly going back and saying, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. And then my fault, because I wasn't perfect. If I were perfect, they wouldn't be like that. And I mean, just decades. You said 5 decades, and that's 5 decades for me. The decades of doing that. And when I finally was able to release that, I don't know. I just have this air about me that walks around just a little bit different. And there was a falseness there. There was armor that I was able to poke holes in and then eventually fling it off, And so that's what you're talking about in the Miracle Morning. So I want to ask you a question about that, but I'll come back to the Miracle Morning in just a second. I'm curious to know, of all of the books that you've written, which one touches your heart the most? I mean, you're probably going to say Miracle Morning because it's my first, but seriously, which one kind of is the one that just is like, wow, that was good, and that's going to touch more people than ever before?
It's definitely the Miracle Morning. The Miracle Equation, which is my newest book, there in some ways it touches my heart because I went through this cancer journey the last 3.5 years. I've been battling cancer, and that book was written out of how did I beat cancer? I'm cancer free, but how did I beat cancer, and what can I share with other people? And while the Miracle Morning was part of that journey, the Miracle Equation was really this unwavering faith and extraordinary effort, these 2 decisions that you make every day that enable you to create what I call tangible, measurable miracles in your life. However, the Miracle Morning is the greatest in terms of impact. I think it's the greatest greatest contribution to humanity I've ever made. So until further notice, my mission in life, is to elevate the consciousness of humanity one morning at a time. And it's by enabling people. And here's why. I was talking to my team about this today. My team, we had a call, it's the movie team, and we're launching this documentary. And we had a call about it today. And the call was, we started out, we wrote down, why is launching this movie and getting the Miracle Morning to as many people as possible, why is that important for you personally? Why is that important, do you feel, for other people? And why is that important for society, for the globe? Right. And so I had 6 people on the call, and everyone shared, and it was so empowering. They all reminded me of how this had changed their life, which is why they're on the team. It's not like I didn't just hire these people. They all kind of came through this Miracle Morning community and came into my life. And when you take time every morning and dedicate that time to getting quiet, to reading your affirmations, to meditating, to focusing on what it is in your life that you want, who you're committed to being, to achieve what you want, to contribute what you want to the world, it gives you this space to raise your awareness, your conscious awareness, as to how every thought that you think, every word that you speak, everything that you do impacts your life, the lives of every person that you touch, the lives of our society and the planet, right? And most of us, if we don't have that practice in the morning, we're not doing that. We wake up and we go in and we eat the same thing we ate yesterday, we watch the same thing. We just keep repeating the same day over and over. But by taking that 30 to 60 minutes in the morning, you're able to get clear and get intentional with how you live your life. And then you see these amazing results. So that's ultimately, for me, the Miracle Morning is the most impactful practice I've ever seen in my own life and in the lives of the millions of people that are practicing it, and, the thousands that have sent me personal messages.
Yeah. No question about it. I mean, I look back on when I first got it, and you and I were talking again in the green room about Brian Buffini, who is the #1 real estate coach in the country. And I was actually being coached by him, even though I was a lender, which is a whole other story. But, and that's when I was introduced to you on stage, when you were at one of his annual summits, his mastermind. And, and I started putting the Miracle Morning into play. And it wasn't even, I think it was a year and a half or 2 years later that I was in the top 200 loan officers in the country. And I can contribute that to Brian Buffini and his coaching. And I can contribute that to Miracle Morning because I got my head on straight every day. And I do think that, there's a phrase for this, but I'm horrible with that. But there's a phrase for this that says, where you focus is where you go. And it's
where your attention goes, energy flows, or something.
Yeah, or something.
Like that.
Yeah, like any iteration of that. In a lot of times, people in sales, entrepreneurs, all of that. The attention is just wherever someone's pulling them the furthest, and they just don't have. I talk about this all the time about slowing down to speed up instead of speeding up to slow down. If they could just slow down in the morning and take, even just the 6 minutes, which I think I've only done once, maybe twice. Yeah. I've done the full thing all the time. But if they could just do that, then that energy would flow that way. And their chaotic lives, the lives that we're all experiencing with, just we're all sick. We're all sick. It's just part of it, and so I think that's extremely, extremely powerful. So I want to kind of dive in for people that have not heard of this. Can we just dive into savers for a moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I have a very specific question in V that I'll stop you at that one. But if you wouldn't mind just sharing with us the concept of what the Miracle Morning is all about.
Yeah. So when the way that this unfolded, I decided, I heard a quote from Jim Rohn. He said, your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
Yeah.
And the way that I equated that is on a scale of 1 to 10, if we're measuring success that we want in every area of our life, not just business success, but success in our marriage as a parent, on a scale of 1 to 10, we all want level 10. We want to be as happy, as healthy, as wealthy, as free, as we possibly can.
Yeah.
But then when I assessed my level of personal development, on a scale of 1 to 10, it wasn't at a 10. It was like, back then it was like a 2 or a 3. 2008, I was really struggling. And I believe this is the disconnect for the majority of our society is we all want level 10 success. But if we are honest with ourselves about our level of personal development, there's a big gap. And the way that I look at this, you've got to become a level 10 person, the level 10 version of yourself, I should say, in order to create and sustain level 10 success. And that comes through daily personal development. Yeah. So I Googled best personal development practices. I Googled personal development practices of millionaires and billionaires. I Googled what are the world's most successful people do I just Googled all these phrases around trying to figure out what are the best self-development, personal development practices. And I had a list of 6. And at first that overwhelmed me. I thought, oh man, I'm like looking for the top #1, right?
Right.
And as I reviewed this list of 6 and I read articles and I researched each one, none of them stands above the other as more beneficial. They're all equally beneficial. It just depends on who you ask. Some CEOs, there's an article on Fortune 500 CEOs who swear by meditation. And I would never correlate that, but they attribute meditation to calming their nervous system, giving them clarity. There's some of their best ideas that have moved their company forward have been in periods of meditation. And so as these 6 practices, I was about to throw in the towel because I was so overwhelmed going, I don't know which one to do.
Yeah, seems
and
like
the epiphany,
everything.
the light bulb moment, was what if I did all of these?
Yeah.
What if I woke up tomorrow, I did the 6 most timeless, proven personal development practices in the history of humanity that the world's most successful people in all walks of life have sworn by for centuries? That practice is the ultimate morning ritual, right?
Yeah.
And I ended up, it wasn't until years later that I was writing the book, and these 6 practices, which by the way, initially were meditation, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and journaling. And I was writing the book and I was frustrated. I went to my wife. I said, sweetheart, I can picture this in the hall between my office and our bedroom, cross paths. And it was like this defining moment. And I go, sweetheart, I don't know what to do. I've got these 6 practices that I want to teach, but I didn't invent any of them. And there's no way to really connect them in a cohesive way. They're just 6 random practices. And she goes, why don't you get a thesaurus and see if you can swap any of the words for similar words, and make it into an acronym that people could remember. And I kissed her on the face and I said, brilliant. Let's try this. And so meditation became silence.
Yeah.
And journaling became scribing. And now you've got savers.
Yeah.
Silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing.
Yeah.
And I love the acronym because as I describe in the book, these are the lifesavers. These are the 6 practices that if you do these every day, that will save you on missing out on the life that you want to live, that you deserve to live. And any one of these will change your life. But when you do all 6 of them, you do see miracles. I mean, the change happens so fast, you can't believe it. And it happened first for me, but then I taught it to my coaching clients. It happened for them. And that's when I went, well, wait a minute. If this works for me and it works for my coaching clients, and most of us weren't morning people, including me, I thought this could work for anybody. And so silence is your 5 or 10 minutes of meditation every morning. You can use an app. You can sit in silence. You can go to YouTube and find a free meditation video, right? There's a lot of different forms of meditation, but the benefits of lowering your stress, calming your nervous system. And for me, my best ideas are while I'm meditating. So I have my journal right there because I always have to pause a meditation timer and then I have to write down an idea to come revisit later.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The A in affirmations, I won't give any like hardcore training on these, but I will on a couple of them. So I'll do affirmations and visualization. With actually, real quick. Okay. Silence. My favorite form of meditation is something that I came up with called emotional optimization meditation, where instead of just quieting your mind and following your breath, you actually begin your meditation by asking, which emotional state or states do I need to be in today? Do I need access to today? On any given day, it'd be like happiness or gratitude. But on certain days, if I have an important meeting coming up where I need confidence or poise, if I have a lot of stuff I need to get done and I need clarity and focus, those are the states that I'll access in the morning. I'll ask myself, which state do I need to access? And then I will spend 5 or 10 minutes accessing that state and just marinating in that state, if you will. Yeah. And the way I'll do that is, like, for example, if it's gratitude, I'll think about something that makes me grateful. I'll get in the state and then I'll just stay there and try to go as deep as I can. If I need confidence, I'll think of a time in my as recent or distant past as I can when I was feeling confident, and I'll go there, I'll visualize it, I'll imagine it, and I'll go there in my mind. And what that does is you're conditioning those states so that you can ultimately easily go there every day at will, because you're conditioning it in the morning. It's kind of like your, exercise for your mind, body, and spirit. The A in affirmations or in savers is for affirmations. And this is an important one. Most people, I think affirmations are very misunderstood because they've been taught in this kind of goofy way where it's like, just tell yourself something that you want to be true until you believe it, right? I am wealthy. Yeah, I am healthy. I am thin. If you're overweight, lying to yourself is never the optimum strategy. So I teach 3 steps for affirmations. Number 1, don't affirm what you want or affirm something that's not true. Affirm what you're committed to. I am committed to blank.
Yes.
Number 2, affirm why it's deeply meaningful to you. Why is that a must? Why are you fully committed? Why is that crucial? And number 3, affirm which specific actions you'll take and when. So now you're not affirming some woo-woo, goofy, I am amazing, blah, blah, blah. You're affirming a commitment that you've made, some sort of outcome. You're affirming the specific actions you're going to take and when. And then you're affirming, you're affirming why it's meaningful and then the actions you're going to take. And when you do that every day, you're aligning your subconscious mind, your conscious thinking, and your behaviors with what it is that you're affirming and what you're committed to. And individualization, you said you had a question on that, so I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. And it's funny as you're talking about this. And so if we're on video, you're going to see me move. Oh, and he just moved too. That is so funny. That is so funny that you moved. So we're both on video. We both just stood up simultaneously, not even knowing we were going to do that.
That's funny.
And I'm sharing my daily affirmations book. My daily affirmation book. Yeah. And so it's kind of funny the way that you're talking about that, because I wake up not knowing about the emotional optimization meditation.
Optimization meditation. Yeah.
Yeah. Not knowing about it. When I get up in the morning, I have actually put my affirmations. Some are my affirmations, some are quotes. But I've actually segmented them into the wheel of life, right? Yeah. Business, spiritual, whatever. And so I get up in the morning and I'm thinking, what do I need the most today? Now I don't think, what is my day like? Now that's interesting. But I think, What do I need the most today? And today, I think I need more business. It's a lot of times it's because of what happened yesterday, which yesterday, right, is a history. Tomorrow's a mystery, and today's a present. That's why it's a gift, right? And a lot of times it's like, how did I feel yesterday? And I was like, I kind of need a little boost of business today. I need a little boost of spiritual today. And that's where I do my affirmation. So this is kind of funny. I did like a little combining of them. For me, silence is prayer. I mean, that is prayer. And I do some reading in prayer too. So I've got a little bit of both, but I just think that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I wanted to talk about visualization. I know you're going to get to it and stuff. I'm not a vision board person. I've even tried the app, right? The vision board app and drop stuff in. So while I do, the visualization, I tend to talk to myself about imagine. I say, imagine what it would be like to stand up on a stage, and I'm on stages all the time. Well, it used to be, right? I'm on stages all the time, but my visualization is imagine standing up on the stage and somehow, some way, there's a light that flows around of one individual, and I know that I'm making a difference in their life, right? So for me, I found that imagine helped me get through visualization, but I am so excited to ask you about how you get through visualization, because I think a lot of people think, I'm going to go cut up a bunch of pictures in a magazine and put them on a little postcard like I was a little kid. I'm going to look at it every day and it's supposed to change my life. I think there's more to it than that. And I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, I call vision boards invisible boards because usually they end up, unless you're very active and committed and disciplined, they kind of become background noise on the wall after a while. And so, I've struggled with visualization. It's been my most challenging of the savers. And so, which means I've had to figure it out, right? Because since I wrote the book on it. And so here's first and foremost for anyone listening to this, consider that the world's greatest athletes, the world's top athletes, from Olympians to, the Michael Jordans and Serena Williams of the world, they swear by visualization, right? They visualize themselves performing at their best before the game starts, so that when the game starts, they've already rehearsed. I call it mental rehearsal. That's the best, to me, just way of thinking of it. And so the problem with visualization is the way that we've been taught, the whole vision board strategy, which is really just a form of visualizing the end result, and that's it. The problem with that is if that's all you do, if all you do is visualize yourself at the end result, you're missing the most important part, which is the process that will produce that result. And so that's where the world champion athletes don't just visualize themselves holding up a trophy. They visualize themselves taking a jump shot with perfect accuracy. They visualize themselves, right? They mentally and emotionally rehearse. So here's the two-step process for visualization. Number one, yes, visualize your ideal outcome, because that fuels your desire and your drive to make it happen. Correct. It also enhances your belief. Something that right on day one might seem so far off that you can hardly even imagine it. Well, if you visualize it every day, it starts to become real, more and more and more real, and you become acclimated to that possibility becoming a reality. So that's step one. Yes, there's value in visualizing the end result. Step two, though, and the most important step, is bring it to today. Ask yourself, what do I need to do today to ensure that I'm moving in the direction of that outcome, that result? And then visualize yourself like a movie. See yourself performing, whether it's making sales calls or going on a run or engaging with your kids, whatever it is. See yourself doing that in a peak emotional state, and then feel those feelings. So here's a real-time example. When I was training, I trained to run a 52-mile ultra marathon because I hated running, and I had never run more than a mile, which was in high school. When you had to, I hated running. So that was why I thought I really want to challenge myself and get so far out of my comfort zone that I'd have to become a different version, like a better version of myself to pull this off. So I hated running. So, and in fact, I still hate running. Once I finish the marathon, I'm like, I'm done. And I really haven't run since.
Never do this again.
No, never do it again. Exactly. Like I checked it off the bucket list kind of thing. So when I was training for the ultra marathon, I would first spend a few minutes visualizing myself crossing the finish line. And I did have a printed off picture of the Atlantic City Marathon finish line. So I literally knew what it looked like when you crossed it. So I visualized that.
You have to imagine what the atmosphere was going to be. Yeah.
Yeah. As clear as your vision can be, the better. And so I would do that, and I would see it, and I would start to get excited, and that would create that drive and desire to make it happen. But the most important part of visualization is I would then bring it to today, and I would visualize the alarm on my phone going off, and I would hear it beep, 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 beep. And I would visualize myself picking it up and looking at it at 7 a.m. and turning it off, because that's when I committed to run. Visualize pushing the button. Visualize myself going into my bedroom closet, getting dressed in my running clothes, walking through my living room, opening the front door. And I remember this very vividly. I always visualize myself smiling and a rush of emotions as I open the front door, and I would see through my eyes the pavement, the sidewalk. And I would usually affirm something like, this is going to be a great run today. I'm going to feel amazing. I'm becoming healthier and stronger and developing my stamina so that I can finish that ultra marathon and complete my goal. And then I would visualize myself heading out and going on to the run. And here's what that mental rehearsal does in real time. When my alarm went off at 7 a.m., I didn't have any of that resistance of, oh, I hate running. Maybe I'll just skip today. I literally, without even thinking, I picked up the phone, turned off the alarm, walked into my bedroom closet, got dressed in my running clothes, headed out the front door, opened the front door. And as you might imagine, I smiled. I was flooded with positive emotions that drove me to that run. That's the power of visualization when it's done in this manner.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. And thank you for sharing that with me, because I love being vulnerable, because, we're not perfect. Right. And I can say, oh, I get through these things every time. I've wondered for 7 years or longer, maybe even longer than that. I've wondered, am I doing this part right? And so it's just, I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to ask you directly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let's move on to exercise. Oh boy.
Yeah. So this isn't rocket science. And I'm not going to give you a lesson in exercise. What I'm going to tell you is this: the benefits of morning exercise are imperative. They're very important in terms of your mental acuity, your ability to think clearly. When you get blood and oxygen to your brain, you think much more clear. And also energetically, the benefits in fact, in the Miracle Morning movie, we interviewed Robin Sharma. And Robin Sharma, if you don't know who he is, he's written dozens of leadership books, one of the best-selling authors in the world. And he said the benefits of morning exercise have been scientifically proven to last as long as 13 hours after the exercise takes place. Wow, So all I'm doing here is saying, don't wait until the afternoon to exercise. I'm not saying you need to go to the gym in the morning or go for an hour-long, 30-minute. All you need is 5 to 10 minutes of getting your heart rate up. My morning exercise is I go for a bike ride around the neighborhood. Now, I realize it's gotten cold as of very recently here in Austin, Texas. But so for me, I would do some stretching, and then I would do some jumping jacks. And even if you do a minute of jumping jacks in the morning, even if you do, like you mentioned, the 6-minute Miracle Morning, do 1 minute of jumping jacks and you will be at a different level. I mean, you'll be awake, you'll be attentive, you'll feel energized, your breath will be flowing, blood and oxygen to the brain. So you've got to exercise even for a few minutes in the morning. The R in Savers is for reading. And, I believe we're all one book away from learning something we need to learn to transform any area of our life. You want to improve your marriage? There's a book for that. You want to be happier, healthier, wealthier, want to be a morning person, right? There's a book for that. And so reading, and here's a little math for all of us. If you read just 10 pages every morning, that's 3,650 pages a year. That's the equivalent of 18 200-page self-help books. Let's say you did half of that, just 5 pages a day. That's still 9. That's almost a book a month. You're going to separate yourself from the majority of society, since only 1%, less than 1% consistently read self-help books in our society, right? You want to separate yourself, and it's not about separating yourself. Hopefully all of us start reading, right? But you want to separate yourself from where you were or where the average person is. Or your
competition, or
it's gaining that knowledge that you can use to improve your life. And the final S is for scribing, which is a fancy word for journaling, but writing down what you're grateful for in the morning, writing down your highest 1, 2, 3 at the most priorities for the day of that long, 10 item to-do list, right? Get really clear. What are the items that are going to make a difference? For me, that's my main journaling that I do, is the top 3 things I'm grateful for the day, and the top 3 specific measurable actions I'm committed to taking that will make the biggest impact in my personal and professional life. Those are the savers. Any one of them will change your life, but all 6 of them done in 30 to 60 minutes every morning, or as little as 6 minutes if you're busy, doing 1 minute each. but that is the miracle morning. And that's what has enabled, now millions of people. It still blows my mind to think that, but, to transform any area of your life that you apply the savers to.
Yeah, I love that. And, one of the things I'm so grateful for, as I was reading Miracle Morning the first time, and by the way, I've read it 1,000 times. And by the way, I tried to find my book so I could show you that I have it. I mean, it is dog-eared, highlighted, you name it. It's ugly because I just go back in and go, oh, now I want this one. And so then I had to change different color of highlighter to remind myself, this is the stuff I want to do.
Stuff. That's funny.
It's so funny. But I was so grateful that you're scribing, and it's funny, as an author, you'd think I'd love writing, but I can't write as fast as I think.
Yeah.
So I get really frustrated. And I was so happy when it was like, just do the bullet thing. And of course I'm a high ID, right? So I just want to, and I was so thankful that was the way I could scribe. But, for those that want to do more, this is the opportunity, take the time to do more. And then I was going to tell you also with exercise during COVID, I've been gamifying everything. Like gamifying. Like I make my tea in the morning, but I can't drink it until I do 15 push-ups on.
Nice. I love it.
Right.
Yep.
And then I start bringing it into my office and I'm like, okay, now you can't sit at your desk until you do a couple of planks.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've really been gamifying myself, to get that exercise up. So I just want to share that with everybody else too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, that's pretty interesting too.
No, I have well, just so you know, I actually have in my morning, I call it my mission time. I have to get my number one priority done in the morning to earn my smoothie. Right. So that's very similar.
That's the exact thing.
Yep.
Well, that would be a good book too. We got to figure out something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm doing is gamifying it and saying, you don't get that tea until you do those push-ups. And especially at my age now, because I'm getting older, I got to do that. I have to do those two things. But so I want to just ask you as we kind of, finish up our time together. And I'm so grateful that you're spending so much time with us. But, in the miracle equation, I read a little bit about it when I purchased it before I get it, but you were saying that we're just 2 decisions away from having everything we want. So what are those decisions? Can you share a little bit about what we're going to find in the book?
Yeah. And I touched on these a little bit earlier.
Yes, in the equation.
The miracle equation, what's interesting about this, I think that people that have read the Miracle Morning and then they saw the miracle equation came out, or if they followed my work, they would probably, think, oh, well, he's really milking this miracle concept, and the irony is the miracle equation is something I named it the miracle equation and started practicing it roughly 7 years before the Miracle Morning was even an idea.
Oh, wow.
But it was I never thought it would be a book. Right. And then I mentioned when I was diagnosed with cancer 3 years ago, I was given a 30% chance of surviving. It was a very rare, very aggressive form of cancer. I was 37 years old. My daughter is 7. My son was 4. So that was the scariest time in my life. Of course, being told you have a 70% chance of dying and leaving your kids without a dad. And on the day I was diagnosed, when I was, you're racking your brain, how am I going to beat this? What do I do? How do I separate myself from, if statistically I don't have good odds, how do I transcend those odds?
Yeah.
And there's this thing called the miracle equation that I started practicing when I was in sales to break company records. And it was, I would use this formula to try to accomplish things that no one in the history of our company had ever accomplished before. And that's why I called it the miracle equation. Cause I figured if you ever did something never done before, that's a miracle, right?
It feels like, yeah, absolutely.
So I immediately remembered, the way I've defied the odds in the past was using the miracle equation. That's the only tool that I'm aware of that I can pull out and use to beat this cancer. And so, and the 2 decisions are, if you study the world's most successful people in all walks of life, you will find that these are the 2 decisions that they make over and over and over and over again. It's basically a way of living, is that you wake up every day and these are the 2 decisions that the world's most accomplished, fulfilled, people in all walks of life, these are the 2 that they make. Number 1, unwavering faith. Yeah. You have to maintain unwavering faith that you can overcome anything, that you can accomplish anything. And the faith is in yourself. It's in yourself. It's also it can be both in yourself and in a higher power. It can be in God or the universe or, higher consciousness, whatever you want to call it, right? That thing that's bigger than all of us. that source of energy we can all tap into. And for me, that's God, of course, but, or not of course, but that's God. And so unwavering faith, when I took my first, if you think about this, when I was told I would never walk again, I had unwavering faith that I could walk again.
Right.
And when I was told I was going to die from cancer, I had unwavering faith that I would beat cancer. In fact, I read an affirmation during my miracle morning every day that said, I am committed to maintaining unwavering faith that I will beat cancer. Actually, I think it said heal myself from cancer and live to be 100 plus years old alongside Ursula, Sophie, and Halston, my family. No matter what, there's no other option. That's what I call a miracle equation affirmation. I am committed to maintaining unwavering faith that I will blank no matter what, there is no other option. And when you read that over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, every single day, you become that commitment. There is no other option. And it aligns your subconscious and your conscious mind, right? I believe a lot of science is showing the mind-body connection.
Yeah.
And twice now, these two times, the doctors couldn't explain how my body healed so quickly. And I believe it's not because I'm not special. It's because I focused all of my energy on that unwavering faith that I would heal. And the second decision is extraordinary effort. So once you're maintaining unwavering faith, you can't just sit back and stare at a vision board and think that things are going to magically change in your life. You have to put forth extraordinary effort. And for me, extraordinary effort is actually defined as consistency. It's not about working 80 hours a week and sacrificing your family to be an entrepreneur. No, this is about doing one thing every day that moves you in the direction of whatever your miracle is, whatever your tangible, measurable miracle, as in your biggest goal, your biggest dream, that outcome you're committed to. Yeah, and so if you can maintain those two decisions, unwavering faith and extraordinary effort every day for as long as it takes to reach your goal, I believe that the only variable is timing. Yeah. And right now, the Miracle Morning movie is the miracle. We're trying to, it's releasing on 12/12/2020, and we're doing a live online world premiere. And my goal was for 10,000 people to watch the film. I don't think I've ever had 10,000 people buy my book on day one or do anything on day one. Right. And so my team came back and they go, Hal, we don't want to, stress you out, but we think you're thinking too small. You're the guy that wrote the miracle equation. We think that we want to have 100,000 people watch the movie on 12/12/2020. And so to this day, it's still hard for me to get my mind around that, but I'm maintaining unwavering faith. I have an affirmation every day that says, I am committed to impacting 100,000 lives with the Miracle Morning movie on 12/12/2020 because they need it now more than ever. What'd you say?
In less than 2 hours. Add that.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Well, and that's the reason we made the film is because my mission is to elevate the consciousness of humanity. But my friend Nick, who's a filmmaker, came to me and he said, Hal, what percentage of humanity reads self-help books? Yeah. And I said like 1%.
About it. Yeah. I mean, there's a statistic, I don't know the exact number, but it's really sad. It's like something less than 3% of adults read a book after high school.
Exactly. Yeah.
After high school. I mean, it's super sad. Yeah. So, and everybody who's listening to this can get tickets. So we want to, make sure that everybody gets a ticket to this. And you simply have to go to morningmiraclemovie.com.
Miracle Morning Movie.
I'm sorry, Miracle Morning Movie.
MiracleMorningMovie.com.
Yeah, so it's backwards, right? So MiracleMorningMovie.com, and you can get tickets, and let's just help support Hal in making sure that he gets to this $100,000 mark. And if we share that with everybody we know, I think that would be great too. So I want to ask you a question, last question. So when you think about, you mentioned Jim Rome. I'm a big Jim Rohn fan. I mean, I'm just like all about him. And obviously Les Brown, because I've had the wonderful opportunity to speak with him on stage and get to know him. But when you think about quotes, what is a quote that really moves you? Something that, is just sort of embedded in you that is your go-to, I'll give you an example. I have a couple, but like every day, this is an affirmation for me, which is, and I say quote, but it could be an affirmation. And I say, Lord, take me where you want me to go. Let me meet who you want me to meet. Tell me what you want me to say and keep me out of your way. Amen. Right? That's like something that I just live with. and live and breathe with it. You know, it doesn't have to be work, it could be my grandkids, it could be anyone. So is there something that you always sort of go back to it and you're like, gosh, that's so true. So true. I'm constantly looking at that.
Yeah, I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I'll share the one is this: enjoy every moment. As simple as that is. When you walk into my living room or into my house, that there's a beautiful picture on the wall that says enjoy every moment. And I really want you to think, if you're listening to this, realize that everything that we do in life is we're looking for joy. And we're looking for love. We're looking to experience, right? What you could use different synonyms, but we'll say we're experience that feeling of joy. Yeah. And think about, most of us have these rules where we only allow ourselves to feel joy if things go as according to plan. Yeah. And for me, every day, part of my miracle morning, part of my emotional optimization meditation is that state of joy. That's my default every day, is to experience joy no matter what's going on around me. Because ultimately, joy is dependent on what's going on inside of you. And there are people that have problems that are much worse than ours that are happier, right? People that have figured out, my outer world needn't determine my inner world, right? Yeah. My circumstances will not define how I feel inside. And so that's it, is every day I just try to take a deep breath and smile and enjoy every moment.
Makes me want to just take a deep breath, which I just did. I mean, every time I do that, I want to take a deep breath. Okay, so Hal, obviously everybody can find you on your website. I'll have the links there. Just remind everyone about the Miracle Morning movie, and making sure that everybody gets a ticket there, and certainly get the book. You can get it on Amazon. It's available there. So go up and get the book and make the change. So what are your parting thoughts that you want to leave with everyone today?
Yeah, wherever you are in your life right now, just always remember that it's temporary, and you can embrace the perspective that it's actually exactly where you need to be to learn what you need to learn in order to become the person that you need to be to create what you want for your life. Yeah. And so often we wish we were further along. We wish we weren't going through what we're going through. But it kind of goes back to the enjoy every moment. It's like, look, you are where you are, and you accept life exactly as it is, to give yourself that gift of inner peace. And then when you are in that state of inner peace, then you can actually choose to enjoy every moment. And from that place of joy, you can wake up every day, dedicate time to becoming the best version of yourself, and then going out throughout your day and implementing, executing, acting on that version of who you're becoming. And as you do that, you're both optimizing your inner world while you're optimizing your outer world, and both the inner and the outer start to mirror and reflect each other. And to me, that's living life in alignment, and that's how it's supposed to be lived.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how you become significant, right? Because you're giving to the world the gifts that you have. That's exactly, how it is. I absolutely love that. Well, Hal, I want to say thank you again. It is such an honor to have you here and to spend time with you. I mean, I'm just all giddy. I'm trying to be a professional interviewer here.
You did great, Jen. Super professional.
But I just want to say thank you so much for sharing this with my audience and the people that are listening to me, because you're just bringing so much value to them through me. And I appreciate that so much. And just want to wish you the best. And I hope that your cancer, I don't want to dig into that, but I hope that you do well. I hope it doesn't come back. And I hope that, you live to be 101. I'll be gone, but 101, I'm much older than you. But you live to be 101 and have your family with you. And I wish you all the best. All the best.
Thank you, Jen. That means a lot. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. So everybody, thank you so much for listening and taking time out of your day to share it with us. And I hope that you have left with another aha moment, another something that changes your life and moves the needle forward in your life, in your business, whatever you're looking to do. And I thank you again for listening, and we'll catch you next time on this podcast.
Thanks for listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Be sure to subscribe to hear more sales tips, ideas, strategies, and tactics to help you with your personal and professional growth to multiply your results in record time. And if you like what we're doing, don't forget to give us a rating and review so we can continue to bring you the best content possible. Wanting more beyond the podcast? Join our Mortgage Lending Mastery membership community, where you will find extended interviews with our favorite guests, weekly training, tips, and insider secrets. fireside chats with Jen, free content, meet, share, and collaborate with other members, and so much more. Click the link in the show notes to learn more about this exclusive content. Mortgage Lending Mastery is an Industry Syndicate charter podcast. Industry Syndicate is the first podcast network specifically for the mortgage and real estate industries. Get the Industry Syndicate app in the App Store or Google Play today.